Prologue. A devastating battle had just ensued in a once peaceful land. Only a few warriors remained out of the once large armies. The lives that were lost that day were surely in the hundreds, if not thousands. It was unsettling to any of the survivors. Sure enough, the god of war would have been pleased by the amount of blood that was spilt that day. Many of the bodies were seen littered among the dead horses, swords, and armor. A sea of blood formed under the discarded bodies. As they walked through it, one could hear the sloshing and feel the warmth of the liquid seep into the leather boots. It was a horrid sight. Many of the dead were friends, brothers, sisters, fathers, mothers, uncles, aunts, and grandparents. Every one of the fallen was close to any one of the survivors. Those that had died were from both sides of the battle. They all lived in the same village. They were split apart by a newcomer. He had twisted the fate of those caught in his lies. He promised a better life for those who served him. The only thing he asked for was their souls and unwavering loyalty to his cause, no matter how gruesome or hard their lives were at first. It twisted his followers into something unforgivable. They were a peaceful race, and that man changed them for war. A soldier, clad in dark iron, slowly walked forward to the opposing line. He avoided and tried to step over the fallen that sprawled out before him. He stopped and knelt down to one of the bodies. He recognized it to be a relative, one that he cared for deeply, as the one next to it was of counsel. He frowned, knowing that they had all worked together once for the sake of unity and peace. How little did they know that they had changed the future, one filled with pain and grief. He looked to the opposing line. Their eyes were soulless as he knew the magic that held them. They followed their leader and sold their souls to the evil in their hearts. He removed his helmet slowly and allowed his sweat-drenched, long blonde hair be caught in the wind. His deep forest green eyes filled with tears of rage and pain. A growl rose in his throat and escaped his thin lips. He stood and gripped harder on the handle of his sword. The opposing people didn't have anything more to lose. He knew that soon they would turn into creatures far more horrifying and deadly than any carnivore. They would go after his village, and his family would be in danger. They gave up everything for one man's lies. That one man who was corrupted by the evil buried in the world and sent to the past to rule everything. "Is this the battle you wanted?" He yelled angrily at the opposing force. His mid-tone voice was harsh as he had been yelling orders throughout the battle. "Did you wish for your brothers' and sisters' deaths? What was the purpose of this act of violence besides following a madman's desires?" The opposing warriors marched toward the lone soldier. No response was given to the questions he had asked. They marched on without a word, without consequence. The soldier looked behind him as the remainder of his army stood at the ready. One of them walked forward to join him. He was soon followed by the others. They took their stance by his side. They would stand their ground till the very end. Swords drawn, they were ready for the final fight. The soldier returned his helmet to his head. It was the final fight that he could commit to. He knew from that point forward, if he were to fight again, his son would no longer have a father. His wife would lose her husband, and he would lose his soul. He had more than them to protect. He had to defend his best friend who had warned them of the intruder. He who was of pure spirit had risked his life and family to warn him. He who was unaware of the war beyond his backyard would now be tending to his cows.